you with your fancy introduction.
See, this is what happens when you leave a brother at home. Listen, I'm lobbying. I'm still lobbying. In 2021, I'm trying to show all the things I can do when I'm at home, when I'm staying at home.
That's a clear theme throughout this program. If nothing else is consistent, that is one of the things that is very consistent. It's like outfits, Brown Juice, and this at-home platform.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's hilarious. It's great.
You know what it is, brother. You know what it is. And, I see you over there, big 2021 Dre. Let me add a little shunting, little shunting. As Cardi B would say, little shunting. All right, there we go. All right. So we back in this thing. What's going on, Dre?
Big.
You good?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about a song about, I believe the song goes, I started from the bottom, now I'm here.
Hey.
And I think about our time back in April when we began this. And it's like, start from the bottom, and we're here.
Yep. You're absolutely right. I want to hear more about that too. But before we get a little started with our shindig, the new barbershop shenanigans in 2021, let's make sure we reposition ourselves. Good brother, I got you.
Brace my
there we go.
Brace myself.
There we go. Now we're looking like we're right in order where we're supposed to be. So to the people out there, folks joining us,
Yay.
There we go. Happy New Year to y'all. First and foremost, we got people in the chats already. Appreciate it. Listen, thank you, Sensei. I told you. Keep the tips coming. We got folks in the chat, so we appreciate y'all. But Happy New Year. So, brother, it is 2021. And the insert obligatory corny joke here. I haven't seen you since 2020. Haven't seen you since last year. You know how everybody always does. I haven't seen it in a minute. What's going on? So everyone usually is like, yo, what's your New Year's resolution? Like, are we in that territory for 2021? Like, talk to me about that. What's your thought, brother? Do we have like that? Are we in that space where we can even have New Year resolutions? Because it seems like although we're no longer in 2020, it's just time running together concurrently.
I think we always have to be resolute. So, and this is a good time. I always like New Year's resolutions. I think it's a great little, cute little, fun little idea. So, and considering where we are right now, I think we may need them more than ever. It's time to make some decisions because we're not at the crossroads yet. We are the crossroads.
Wow.
The way the road has been lately, we are the crossroads. It's kind of amazing.
I hear that. Okay. No, I'm with you. I think it's always important to take stock. I think it's always important to be reflective. And I think one of the things that 2020 did do, or at least hopefully it did, was have folks calm down, zoom out, and try to take a look at what's happening around us. The things that we thought we were doing well, maybe we're not doing as well as we thought we were doing it, or maybe we're not paying much attention to the things we need to be paying attention to. Are we really being good stewards of this earth? Are we really taking care of one another? Are we really treating others the way we want to be treated? There's so many questions that I hope we asked ourselves in 2020. There's so many things that I hope we took stock of in 2020. And, not to be cliche, I think every time the calendar turns, there should be a moment or opportunity. It's almost like when you graduate from a certain place that you go to be at your next level, or when you switch jobs, you have the opportunity to recreate yourself, or you have the opportunity to reposition yourself. And yes, there's some things that might precede you based on what you've done, but you have time to change or for redemption or whatever the case may be. So I hope folks understand that. And I hope folks, think about that as they're moving forward in this new year.
I see you put some thought behind that.
A little bit, because, that's when I'm at home, with my thoughts, I just try to make sure that, I think this is, and I was saying this, shout out to Josh. We were talking about this on the Creative Gourd, and we were just talking about, trying to have that positive mentality and mindset in 2021, because it's easy for us to say, we're still in the thick of things. We don't know how things are going to be, bah humbug, whatever the case may be, right? And how can we frame our mentality to say, you know what, no matter what comes our way, we're built for this. We're going to get through it, right? Tough times don't last. Tough people do. So how do we make sure we set ourselves up to be in the best position to, face anything that comes our way? And, just thinking about this whole mentality, I was saying from a spiritual perspective, from a faith-based perspective, you have to look at it as a way of us being stretched in ways that we've never been stretched before, realizing that there was loss, and realizing that even though in the face of loss, there were some things that we gained, hopefully at least. And it's just a matter of perspective taking. What are some of the things that, you can say, you know what, I know 2020 was X, Y, and Z, or this, that, and the third. However, this is what it also was. So it's not a but, it's a, it's a and. So 2020 was blah, 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 but no, it's 2020 was, and there's also some room that we probably were stretched, that we were able to grow, that we had opportunities come our way, that hopefully we can reap the harvest of 2020 in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. It's this time period of the year is always one of reflection and introspective journeys, and oftentimes people are so worn out, wiped out, slowed down that the week between Christmas and New Year's is like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should be doing something, but I feel like I should not be doing something. I feel a little guilty for not doing something. Also, I know that I shouldn't be doing too much. And then it's time for a lot of introspection. But this year is amplified because we all have those moments all year, all 2020, most of 2020, where you can't really go nowhere. You have work and things to do, but the moment, so the stillness that this week always provides is one that we've all experienced for many, many months right now. For the first time, any of us collectively have been in that space. So I think applying all the things you see at Rev Dr Israel, I think make a lot of sense to think about in that context, in the sense of, the introspective journey is a difficult one and a beautiful one at the same time. And to have patience with yourself as you go along it, I think is key as we go down this path. So I just want to amplify all that you just communicated. I think those are good messages.
Appreciate that, good brother. Well, you know what else is a good thing? In moderation, of course. Some brown juice, brother.
Oh yeah.
But before we get into the brown juice, what are you rocking over there, good brother?
I had to take us to the beach, take us to the inkwell. It's also given to my people, so I'm thinking of the people that share with me. There we go.
There we go. Get a wide shot right there. Okay, I got you, brother. Got the inkwell. All right.
Everybody should see the inkwell once in their lives.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's what's
up.
How
about you? What you got on?
Just oldie but goodie. Doing it for the culture.
Oh,
because that's the theme for 2021, brother. As a matter of fact, it's a theme every day, every year, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365, sometimes 366 if it's a leap year, but not this year. It was last year. It would be 2020,
right?
The year of a leap year, right?
Yeah,
we have an extra day. It would be 2020. It definitely would be.
Everything.
Yes, sir. But doing it for the culture. So what you sipping on, good brother?
I know that we're talking about pieces that we favor and enjoy. So I had a hard time picking, and I decided to. I'm still doing right now as I look at my list. I'm going to start the year off right, so I'm going all the way in.
Oh. Hey now. Bring it back.
Way back in.
Can you talk to the people about that experience that you got in your hand, brother? What's that again?
I believe it is Middleton. Middleton has its own little box.
Yes, sir.
I think I'm going to go with Middleton. That's my top for the year.
Wow. Okay.
My top.
That's fine.
That's the top whiskey recipe in my life.
Hey.
Ever.
That's high praise right there. That's high praise. All right.
I want you to wait. I gotta see the box close again.
You got a little whiskey transformer over there.
Yeah,
Joint got his own closet, you know.
So I had to sip on this again. The vintage release, Middleton.
Okay.
Yummy yummers. It's ridiculous.
Okay, I see you, brother. I see you. So, you know, so for the folks who don't know, we're going to get into the Best Brown, the inaugural Best Brown Awards later on in this live. And I think that's going to be a contender, right?
Might be.
Might be a contender. For me, good brother, you know, I said new year, new bottle. Why not?
Oh.
And, you know, another introspective cite and request, dare I say, from Josh. He was like, you know, some folks might want to know a little bit more education about the bottles. And, you know, I went to YouTube University and got my master's in whiskey. So I'm going to give the people what they want. So this is Knob Creek.
Oh, yeah.
And you see it says Knob Creek 9 year. Now, a lot of y'all probably seen this on the shelf before. Now, the way that it is that I think this line came out from Jim Beam in 1992. And up until 1992, it carried what we call an age statement, which is that 9 years old right there. When you see something that says, or when you see the whiskey crowd, folks are like NAS, that means no age statement or non-age statement. But this is 9 years, which means all the juice in here is at least 9 years old. It's been aged in the barrel for at least 9 years old. Now, there could be times when there's older juice in the bottle, but I doubt it in this case because Knob Creek also makes a 12-year as well as a 15-year. So, when you see the age statement was on there until 2016, and then they had to remove it because there's a bourbon boom and, you know, inventory, their stocks were low, so they had to mix it with other younger whiskeys. So they had to take that age statement off. But they got the 9 on there now, which means it's 9 years old, which means it's a good bang for your buck, and it's 100 proof because I keep it 100.
And I have a question. How big is that bottle? Looks like it's a big bottle.
So it looks like a big bottle, but it's not. It's a 750 milliliter.
Okay, you know what it is the cap. The cap has that extension.
Yes,
the hand there, and I was like,
oh,
it was gigantic. I was like, dang, yo, okay.
Yeah, no. So and this is a newer bottle in the sense of the shape. I think they got something new going on over there. You know, I don't know what they got going on, but we'll see how it tastes though.
Right on. And I appreciate all the knowledge.
Yeah, see, brother, and I appreciate you appreciating that. You know why? Because later on, when we get into our Best Brown, I got some stats and facts and figures. Because remember, we started this thing back in April. Because you was like, bro, let's get it popping, let's do something, and we just did it. And this is starting to grow and morph into something else. But one of the initial questions you had asked me, why brown juice, right? And I gave you a quick response, but it's deeper than that in the sense of, you know, what this means to me in certain spaces in terms of education, in terms of doing research, in terms of really thinking about stuff. But I'll share more notes on that later.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. So
look, I'm at YouTube University getting some.
I have to start the master class.
I know, right?
Yes, sir. Let's get this wax open.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but I feel like we have the influence of your wife because I had a conversation about how she was all about matchy when y'all went out.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that, and I think our glassware has some hints of. I'm just saying, somebody called me excited about having the same glasses, and I was like, "Oh, matchy, rolling off."
Cool, because and this is another sneak peek into what we're probably going to get into a little later too. Because when we talk about plans for 2021, listen, I told you, bro, I'm in these streets, and I'm talking about digital right now. You know, I'm in these digital streets, I'm virtual, and I do my research. I listen to what other people are doing, but there's usually folks drinking and sipping out of the same glass and all that jazz, whatnot. And brother, I just want you to have the best in life. You know,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
It's 2021, brother. I want you to, you know, just have a nice little glass of nose it and sip it, and you know, yes, sir. So you ready to pour?
Yes.
Let's get it.
Mine was quiet.
Oh, yours is quiet? Mine's probably close to the mic.
What's that?
Mine might have been close to the mic.
Yeah, mine was down by the shoulders too.
Uh-oh.
Oh my goodness. I might not be able to say
Someone's you might not be able to say much. And it seems like someone agrees with you. You know, looks like someone agrees with the matching. You know. So, anything on your mind you want to toast to, brother?
You know, let me see. There you go. Let me see that glass. You know, to synchronicity and things lining up.
Yes, sir. I like that. And to another year, no matter what day it is, no matter what time it is, as long as our eyes are open and there's breath in our bodies, it's a blessing. So to be here with you, brother, and to everybody who's watching, Happy New Year. Let's get it.
All of it. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's good. Well, that is good.
The 9's good. You feel the 9?
I do. I definitely do. You know? Woo. It's remember I told you Titanic.
Yeah.
Like people just throwing fuel into the fire, man.
and Knob Creek don't play. Knob Creek is that sneaky little like, don't forget about me.
Yeah. Yes. I'll tell you right now, if it was cold down here, this is a nice, they call it a Kentucky hug, nice little warm Kentucky hug, brother.
Yeah. The Knob Creek does you well.
Yes.
Very well.
I'm not mad at that at all. So we were talking about what we've been doing with Brown Juice, right? And we started this in April, back in April. And we had this episode where we were really talking about the Postrunner Commandments, right? Postrunner Commandments. And we thought it would be good if we can revisit what we said and then also see what other folks might have in the chat. If you have any resolutions, if you have any commandments, if there's anything you want to do. So, you know, we call it the Postrunner Commandments. However, we know that we are not post-runner. We know that. But we did this back in May of 2020. I'm going to go through them. We have 5. I'm going to go through all 5 first, and then we can revisit each one. And then folks in the comments, if there's anything that you have to talk about or if there's anything that you're interested in sharing, you know, let us know. So here were the Postrunner Commandments that we did back in May of 2020. Yes, sir.
Might I interject a query prior to you presenting and sharing the Postrunner Commandments?
Oh, please.
Why Postrunner Commandments?
So back in 2020, I believe we were thinking ahead and we were trying to, because at the very beginning of this, you had asked me what I was learning about myself in that moment that we were in, when we began to initially quarantine, when things were shutting down, when we were being a little bit more stationary and in solitude in certain spaces. You asked me, what was I learning about myself, or what did I notice? And then, like I said, I think that was a moment of reflection for all of us where we can like zoom out and really see what's happening with a little bit more clarity. I mean, I remember I was writing a piece for work and I said, it's fitting that in 2020, we would gain clarity around certain issues such as injustice, inequities, etc. And I think that's something that we really did gain. You know, we're talking about this hindsight being 2020, playing on words. But I think 2020 in hindsight, in retrospect, has given us a lot of information moving forward. But in real time, you asked that query. So we thought to ourselves, okay, when this is over, you know, because a lot of times folks are like, you know what, if once we done with this, I ain't going back. I'm doing like, there's always something like that. So, okay, once this subsides, once everything's over in terms of COVID-19, how are we going to live life? Is there going to be a code or a mode of operation moving forward? So that's what we came up with the Postrunner Commandments. It was really more so resolutions for the Black community in specific. But then it was like Postrunner Commandments. This is how we're going to rock. This is how we're going to organize and operate moving forward. So that's where that came from.
Excellent. Thank you for breaking that down. I'm living for these Reverend Dr. like going in. I think that you hit the main note of us deciding to think about what we're learning about ourselves and how we're moving forward and what that means, you know?
Yes, sir.
That's like, you said much that's like spot on, but that was one of the big ones. I remember us having that discussion early on. I was thinking back as we prepared for today about why we did it. Was it just like, ha, 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 Postrunner Commandments? Or was it a chance to really look inside and go a little deeper? Because folks don't know. We go deep. We go deep on it.
Yes, we do. And I appreciate that query, because the thing that I do, if we were to put together a series of master classes, right, which might be something we could do later on, one of the things I do is I would teach a class called The Art of Reflection. And this is stuff that I learned, like one of the main key things I learned in college. Because, like I said, there's a difference between schooling and education. And there's some pieces that I actually took away from school that was education. And it was really the art of reflection. Is you ask yourself 3 questions. No matter what you talk about, you ask yourself 3 questions. The 3 questions is this. What? So what? Now what? What? So what? Now what? So what is the thing that you're talking about, discussing, etc.? The so what is, why is it important? Why does it even matter? Then once you figure out what that is, once you decipher what that is, once you've learned something from that what and so what, why it's important, why it matters, now what? What are you going to do with that information? What is the actionable item or the actual steps that you're going to carry out moving forward? So those are the 3 questions that you really always need to have with you whenever you're trying to be reflective about something. What, so what, now what? So this is really an opportunity for us when we were sitting down thinking about 2020 and all that we were being faced with. We were thinking about the what. The what is 2020. The world is going crazy. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. So what? Why isn't it important? It's impacting all of us. And some of us is impacting in different ways, or in deeper ways, or harder ways, or harsher ways, but it's impacting all of us. And then if we know that, now what? What are we going to do about it? So things didn't just change as we entered 2021. What are we going to do about it? I've been saying the whole time, keep that same energy. So how do we keep that same energy in 2021? So I'll run through these Rona commandments, post-Rona commandments, and then we can take a look at them. But the first one was, thou shalt be more conscious of where you spend your dollars. So thou shalt be more conscious of where you spend your dollars. That was number 1. Number 2, thou shalt support Black-owned businesses without asking for a hookup or a discount. And then we had a great conversation, which led to an ellipse and then initially. So then I'll reread it in that format. Thou shalt support Black-owned businesses without asking for a hookup or a discount initially. Initially. Number 3, thou shalt be more efficient with your time and resources. Thou shalt be more efficient with your time and resources. 4, thou shalt think about your everyday actions and how they impact your community. Thou shalt think about your everyday actions and how they impact your community. And then the 5th one we had was, thou shalt choose your life partner, friends, associates, etc. wisely. Thou shalt choose your life partner, friends, associates, etc. wisely. Now, here's the thing. We said post-Rona, but this is really whenever. You can do these things now. And in many cases, a lot of people have started. However, if you did it one time and you don't continue to do it, that might be performative. So let's get into that.
What do you mean by performative? Help the people understand.
Performative. So for example, there's folks who say Black Lives Matter. And they might put up a yard sign that says Black Lives Matter. Yet, when they go to a place where there's a bunch of Black folks there working, they might treat them with disrespect or be nasty. Or even worse, that yard sign that might be out front of their house is in a gentrified neighborhood that they're pushing people out of who happen to be Black. So Black Lives Matter, are you going to tell me that Black Lives Matter by showing a sign? Or are you going to actually do something else that's not performative, but more substantive, that's actually going to change and shift the paradigm of folks who are just marginalized in so many ways? Performative can also be putting up a status or a way message or a black box or Instagram post. They talk about social media activism, and in some cases, that's good if it's followed by action and there's consistency in that, as opposed to just a one-off. So that's what I mean by performative.
Excellent. Thank you for we need to call this a breakdown show. Breaking it down. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I think it's important just to, for our new listeners, our old listeners, all the people, let's make sure we can be as clear as possible. We have no opaqueness in
Mm-hmm.
our lives. We are transparent. You can see through the brown, kind of.
No, I appreciate that. It's important for us to be intentional. And it's important for us to, what I need to work on in some cases, I think, if I'm looking about taking stock and inventory of myself, I think because we usually operate in circles that are similar to ours, or connect with people who we know are like-minded or in similar spaces, there might be times where we fall into the trap of being presumptuous or overly presumptuous, thinking that folks know something, understand something. And it's not a slight saying, oh, you don't get this. No, it's not that. It's more so, how can we be as clear as possible? Because in this day and age, we talk about it all the time. I talk about it with Josh. I talk about it with you. I talk about other people. Like, words have meaning, have power. And if you take certain words out of a certain context, you can manipulate that into whatever you want to manipulate into. So it's important for us to be clear. It definitely is. So let's look at the first one, good brother.
Yes.
Thou shalt be more conscious of where you spend your dollars. How is that showing up for folks in 2021? What do you think about that? Folks in the chat, do you think that's cool? Do you think that's something that we should have been doing? Is it hard, difficult?
Hey. It is. I'll jump in and say, you shared this with me earlier the week, and I've been thinking about them, and I'm in a new city, well, I'm moved back to my old city, but it's new relative to like living as an adult, buying stuff and shopping around. So that was a good challenge, being like, well, what is the what, and, a lot of stuff is digital and online, and I think about with my book life, like I love books,
Mm-hmm.
I love books. I'm always ordering and going. And I would hunt and gather and not do the big corporate machines and try and find, like, Haymarket is my favorite. I think I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a way to go through it, and they can support smaller, independent, and primarily Black and people of color owned bookshops. So it's been so great to go through that. You see the number, and it's like, I think the number is up to like you've helped $400 million go to independent bookstores, which is beautiful. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it's just that's okay. That's okay. So it's and it is this commandment is important, I think, because it's a deliberate choice. Because it's easy to be like it's easier sometimes to be like, well, forget that. Check. Let me get that. But to go a little bit of work, wait a little bit more time, which isn't, relatively speaking, ain't that much more time when you think about it. So I'm just glad this commandment was resurfaced, because I have been thinking about how to make the efforts, and it's not so easy, because you can't go everywhere. That's when you need not to do it.
That's true. So, thinking about thou shalt be more conscious of where you spend your dollars, there's a couple of things that come to mind for me. And it's something that just recently happened this morning that is really directly attached to this, right? So Amanda and I, we wake up and we're like, yo, we want breakfast. You feel like cooking? Nah, I feel like cooking. You feel like cooking? Nah, I feel like cooking. I cooked ultimately, only because the place that we called, Black-owned place, was giving us some answers to my queries that just didn't work for me. I'll leave it at that. And this is a great restaurant, great place. Like, they can cook. The back of the house is not the problem. The front of the house needs some work in terms of management, in terms of customer service, etc. So I think we need to work on that. But it reminds me of when you talk about systemic racism, when you talk about, I was going to bring it back to that. It reminds me of when you talk about systemic racism, right? If you talk about like equitable classrooms in particular, in classes, right? When you see a person of color, a Black person in particular, doing something that they should not be doing inside a classroom, before, like, good practices, before you call on that person and single them out, look around the room, because I'm sure you can find someone else doing it too. And particularly, it's not a person of color. It might be a white person who's doing it as well. I say all that to say is that we can't be so quick to cast aspersions and say, see, that's why I don't mess with y'all. See, that's why I try to give you a chance, etc. There are times when I've gone to predominantly white institutions or establishments that have treated me the same way or have treated me even worse. So when we talk about these things, it's important that, sometimes you have to give them opportunities to, prove you wrong or give them a second chance or really think about redemption. So when I think about being conscious, it is not always easy. It's about making that choice, or at least starting to make a commitment to build a relationship when this is starting to becoming your normal habit, right? And for me, it's not just personal, it's also professional. So personally, I'll choose to spend my dollars in a certain space. But professionally speaking, wherever I sit, if I'm in charge of a budget, if I'm in charge of something that I can use my budget to get to certain spaces, when it comes to contracts, I'm thinking about what are the Black-owned companies. When it comes to psychologists, I'm thinking about who are the Black psychologists. When it comes to folks who are experts in curriculum design, who are those folks who are Black-owned? Who are those folks of people of color? Who are those women, etc. I'm going through that gamut to make sure that we are really staying true to what we believe in terms of trying to close this gap of inequities or systemic racism and all these structural differences that put people in marginalized positions. So it takes work. It takes work. And sometimes you're going to get upset. Sometimes you're going to get a letdown. But there's been plenty of times that we're like, all right, we're not messing with y'all today, but we're going to call you 2 weeks from now whenever we want breakfast again, and hopefully things are better. So, just really think about it. And the key part is this. It's all about accountability. So therefore, if I go there and something's not right, or if I'm on the phone and someone's giving me stuff, it's like, well, you said this before and you didn't follow through. I'm trying to help you understand. Instead of going to bash you on Yelp, I want to talk to you in person and say, listen, this is how you can improve. So yes, I want to be conscious about where I spend my money, where I spend my dollars, but also make sure I'm holding myself accountable in doing that, but also holding folks accountable in the professionalism that they should be showing if I'm spending my money there. Because as a consumer, we have the right to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad we need to add in either 1.5 or 5.5 for
talk about it,
because it's be more like Josh. That's like the one. Sounds like a consultant. He sees opportunity in everything.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, Mr. Josh, I love it. I love it. I have to get my Josh on and lean into ability and experiences. And it sounds like I love it. So that was out there. But to go back to that space you talk about of the forward-facing folks. And I think that comes up for us in many different ways. And something I try and practice, and I'm not successful all the time, is an immediate moment of forgiveness. Because ain't no telling how so-and-so got there. I just had it up at the Stop and Shop over on Fox Street. Young sister walked up. It was a white man. He's having trouble with the machine and was going, you go to instant checkout, over the machine. And they went over there, and there's a shopping cart, big old shopping cart. And he went away to do his stuff and left his shopping cart. And so the young sister who was trying to do her thing, get out, she rolled up and took his spot because he was done. And she looked at me and she goes, "Is that your cart?" And I was like, "No, my sister, I think it's his cart. He's having some trouble with the machines." And I could see her, go into a space of like, like she calmed down, and you can see her like being a little embarrassed. And that's that moment right there where I could have been like, "Why are you yelling at me?" And it would have tipped her off. But instead, when I hit it back with like the smooth, the like connection, the call into family, and be like, "I understand you might be in a rush, maybe some kids in the car, who knows what's going on in your life, but I want you to know that I believe in being forgiving in those moments because they happen so often. You go into a spot, yes,
yes,
and I have, you know it, and ain't no telling what's going on in somebody's life. Ain't no telling who's in the back yelling at them, the pressures they have. We have no idea. So I think it's important to definitely practice that and do the best we can in these institutions. And not saying let people walk all over you, but get in with the kindness and the respect out the gate. Because I wish more of us could be like that. I think we'd all get much further in the world if we could function in that way. So, yeah, being intentional about where you spend your dollars, and then understanding you have power in that moment to affect the outcome and the experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think all important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate all that. I appreciate that. So for folks who are keeping score at home, that was number one that we just discussed, which is thou shalt be more conscious of where you spend your dollars. So in 2021, let's think about what that looks like. Let's think about what that looks like. All right. On number two.
Please.
Thou shalt support Black-owned businesses without asking for a hookup or a discount. ... Initially. Your reactions to that, good sir.
It ties very closely with number one, as commandments often do. They complement each other and formulate a good experience. So I think the initially is a really good idea, because you can't walk in the door and be like, you open the store, let me get a hookup like day one. They got to pay their bills and rent and eat. But, after a little while, we all trying to make it. We're all trying to make it, So just do like James Brown said it, save our money, do like the mob, in his song Static. No static, don't start in a, won't be in a. I think it's in that one. I may be mixing up, but that's when I first heard that in the line, I was like, okay, James Brown, he just shouts it out, save our money, do like the mob. And he's talking about more than just putting your money in the bank. He's saying he just shouted out Ujima, cooperative economics.
Yes.
He broke it down. And that's beautiful when those little moments happen in our experience, in our lives. So yes, I do believe as we're last day of Quantum was yesterday. Today last day of Quantum was yesterday.
Yes. It was today, the third. So it was I think the first. I think it was the first. It's last day.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. I'm 20 from the 26th, not onward. But just thinking about those why Kwanzaa exists. Because it's a matter of like empowerment in the community, and people need to hear. The babies need to know that they're special and amazing, and we need to know and have faith and help ourselves, help each other, and love each other all at the same time. So yeah, I think this commandment still stands with me, and I feel like I've been able to practice it as much as possible.
I hear that, and I respect that 100%. I like all the things that you brought up too, which is important. And there's a couple of things when I think about that forgiveness piece, yeah, for sure. And or the words I would use in terms of being a little bit more charitable in certain spaces, and not being presumptuous, as we talked about, right? So really thinking about what that looks like, what that means. So for me, in this situation, thou shalt support Black-owned businesses while asking for a hookup or a discount initially, right? For me, there's a difference between someone trying to get a come up and someone trying to help promote or partner. And for me is, I try to find strategic partnerships no matter where I go. I did that in school. I went to boarding school, strategic partnerships, right? I'm going to be friends with people in the cafeteria. I'm going to be friends with people in the library who control when you check out books, when you can check out books, how many books you can check out, when you can turn things back in, etc. Strategic partnerships. There's something that's going to be mutually beneficial in one way, shape, or form. So I think about these things. So when I think about supporting Black-owned businesses, I'm going to do my research, because the fallacy is that there's not many out there. That's the fallacy. People might think that, oh, we don't have many. We're not doing the research. We're not thinking about it. Or we already have brand loyalties to some of the companies who have more marketing dollars, et cetera, that have really won us over since we were young. Before we were young, all we thought about was, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on that. And then now that we have some money in our pocket, we want that. Because when we were younger, we got attached to that brand or whatever the case may be. And now that we have some money in our pocket, I'm gonna go buy it. Just like studies show, the first car that you usually buy is the car that you might have brand loyalty to moving forward. So when we think about brand loyalty from a consumer perspective, there's some things you need to think about that psychology. However, when I talk about not asking for a hookup or a discount, at least initially, it's like, listen, they're providing a service and you as a consumer have consumer power. However, you can't be asking them for a discount or a hookup if you don't do that at these other places. If you don't do this at these big corporations, but you run into a mom and pop store and you're like, yo, let me hold that. You over there at Saks, you at Gucci, are you really shelling out money? But when you come to Jimmy Jazz, not the best example, but when you come to the store where it's like, ran by the folk and the culture, right? You know, and you're like, let me hold that. What's the discount? Yo, scratching stuff on the back. Look, there's a mark there. Can I get 10%? Like when you start to do those things, but you don't do it elsewhere, I have some questions for you. But going back to the partnership piece, strategic partnerships are important. Partnerships are important. So you can say, yo, if you give me 10% off, I'm gonna make sure that I promote, or I'm gonna make sure that I write you a review. Like it's all about that cooperative economics piece that you're talking about. But I don't think we should get in a position of saying, you know, and I'm not saying quid pro quo is a bad thing. What I'm saying is we can't bring something to the table. I mean, bring nothing to the table and demand everything. Let's bring something to the table. So if I'm looking for a discount, like there's plenty of times I've patroned where I get these shirts. I patron that store. I definitely do. Please believe if I go there and I ask for 10%, or if bruh's like, nah, you can only get 10% off for that. I'm like, come on, brother, I've been here all the time. We can have that type of conversation. That's different. That's relationship building. That's partnership. Or please believe I'm gonna work and earn my 10% because I'm gonna start putting things on Instagram. I might shout them out at the Brown Juice Barbershop, the move in Philadelphia. Right. So this is what I'm saying. And that's how we get into this game. And that's how this is how we become not only smart and conscious consumers, but maybe investors in certain spaces, which I'll talk a little bit more later about bourbon.
My goodness. I feel like I came to class like excited, but without having read the book. I'm like, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's great. It's powerful and great knowledge and important, definitely important information. It's wonderful to be able to reflect back on having been engaged in this dialogue since March, April of last year. You know, it's intense. It's powerful. Goody. Shit, number three.
Good brother. Thou shalt be more efficient with your time and resources.
It's funny. I find myself so much digging and looking to wondering how much of these post-Rona commandments that I can keep and commit to versus whether I'm going to do them later. And it's funny. I'm thinking about, you know, how I've done that with my time and resources. You know, like I didn't, when we started this, I didn't know I was going to leave New York City and come back to Philly. I had no idea. But that was my major step of being like, this is money out the window and it's not responsible. And I'm not in my community. I'm not with my people. You know, I really had to get into a new way of being in space. And that is powerful. And I think that a lot of us have had to face those choices. You know, back when we were doing this, we weren't seeing people losing everything as intensely as some folks have. There's some folks who still don't have. You know, the whole like, oh, we can be back at work next month, maybe. You know, you and I are very fortunate amongst the who still have our professional careers intact. I actually had one of the busiest years I've ever had in my life, you know, with the work that I do and the talking and the speaking. And I'm feeling a lot more of that is coming. So, yeah. I mean, the best thing about all of these commandments, as we're midway through, is that they are about taking responsibility for yourself, and at the same time being aware of how that responsibility and actions might affect the folks around you and the people in your life, which is why I really like them. So. Here's a little review. Help the old man remember. Rev Dr Israel. Did we come with these, or did we make these up on the spot?
So I think I want to say you challenged me to like some thoughts or whatever. So I came with these, and we talked about it, and along the way you had some amendments. Which was the piece that was like initially, because like, you know, that's a real conversation. We're talking about barbershop conversation. The barbershop is the place for the hookup and the come up and the discount.
That's how we get by. That's how we get by.
We know that. Speaking of which, you know, if this is going to be like a real barbershop, you know how vendors just pop in and out. If folks in the chat got a business they could throw it in the comments.
Who's
And
selling?
folks,
Who's
you know
selling?
what
I to this day, I got my favorite 8-pack of socks ever in the barbershop.
I mean?
Like, no lie.
Not my favorite pack of socks. My favorite 8-pack of socks.
They were soft. I remember, you know how you have socks, you just time throw them away, and it's like, oh,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
They were soft and like, I was like, yo, where you get these socks from? I mean, it was a Nike with a switch upside down, but that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
That's a wish. We call that a wish. It's not a swish, it's a wish, brother. Got them wish socks again.
Those socks were fantastic. Come on. That was a beautiful moment. So I'm saying all that to say, yeah, that's the hookup. The hookup. If y'all got a business, throw it up in the chat.
Listen, because we're trying to support, we're trying to grow this community. And when we get into our plans for 2021 and things like that, we'll share more about that. But that's the piece, like just being more efficient with your time and resources. And I guess if I was to make an amendment with that, being more efficient with our time and resources in the sense of thinking about, and this is every time when I talk to someone who like asked me about marriage advice, right? And I'm like, before I was young and we were only like a couple years in, now we're going on 8 years married. And before it was like, but now, one of the things that was like the game that I peeped, and it was part of it was from like Pledge and Fraternity that I learned a little bit more about like time, resources, time management, etc. Because your boy was a procrastinator a long time ago, and I subscribe to work smarter, not harder. That's how I rock. And please believe you might not see me working, but it's something always going on up here. I'm working. So when I do sit down to get it done, it's going to happen quickly. But I say all that to say is that, there's 24 hours in the day, at least the day that we understand it to be. So, when I got married, I have 48 hours in a day. So now it's me and Amanda. She got 24 hours in a day. I got 24 hours in a day. Together, our day just doubled. We have 48 hours in a day. So there's nothing that we shouldn't be able to accomplish if we actually take advantage of our time and our resources. So when you think about teams, you think about Brown Juice Barbershop, you and I together, there's so many things we can accomplish together. There's so many things that we bring to this space, So I think about how do we, one, not only discover those resources, because you talk about how these connect to each other. So you think about all those people who are in your circle, all those people that you might overlook or they're not promoted, etc. How do we leverage and keep things in the community and make sure we're taking advantage of our time and resources? And that's how things circulate in the community. Because you're not outsourcing stuff.
No.
It's inside your community. Right. So you're all working together in partnership or that cooperative economics. So when I think about my time and resources, it goes back to what I said before about even professionally. If I'm given resources to use and be a steward of, I'm going to think about that. I'm going to think about who I can contract, because it's not only, particularly if we're talking about strategic planning, if we're talking about like diversity, equity, inclusion, I'm going to make sure that I look into spaces where we can be reflective or representative of the things that we're saying that we're trying to achieve. Because I'm gonna be a little, I'm gonna look at you side eye, or give you the side eye, look a little sideways. If you're talking about, we're gonna practice diversity, equity, inclusion, etc., and the firm is white, the whole firm is white. I mean, I'm not saying they might not know certain things, but it needs to be a little bit more reflective of the work that we're saying that we're trying to do. So that's what I'm saying, sort of take advantage of our time and resources and things of that nature.
Yeah, wonderful. And let me ask you, for one, of course, Mr. Josh is throwing up his 20 companies, which I love. When you say being a good steward of this work and as you go forward, what does that mean to you to be a good steward of these? How do you be a good steward of these commandments?
So Amanda once told me that she went to a conference, and there was a woman, I think it was an older Black woman, who was speaking. It was like, baby, just talking to the general crowd. I think it was called Aberfoils, which is for those folks who were in financial aid. Amanda used to work for financial aid at Princeton University. And she was like, baby, if you have a seat at the table and you're doing nothing with that, get up. So when I think about the spaces that I'm privileged to be in, not because of what I do, it's a part of it, but because of what a lot of people have done in order for me to have a seat at the table, because of all the barriers and that folks have knocked down and hurdles they've jumped over, for me to be in these certain spaces, when I get there, I had better be a good steward of the things that I've been given. And by being a good steward of the things I've been given, it means tell the truth and use these resources honestly and truthfully. So just because you've been working with this group of people that you've been doing a contract with for years, doesn't mean we can't end that, or as they say in the streets, dead that right now. Right? Maybe we on to the next one, right? Because this is not serving us or is not reflective of our mission. So, I mean, being a good steward of it in the sense of, listen, how are we going to make sure that we're putting our money where our mouth is? Because when we talk about resources, when we talk about, budgets, is it an item line in your budget? Because if it's not, then maybe it's not that important. So that's what I'm talking about, being a good steward of the things that we have and the resources and the time that we have. And sometimes that's about return on investment too. But just really think about that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I will add, to keep it in the streets, another way to be a good steward is to hook a brother up. Like, you got the opportunity, you got a business, you know how to do a business plan. You see me doing something that is not right for my business. You see me not shoveling in time in front of my storefront with some of my fall. Come in, like, yo, let me talk to you. Hey, you got 2 shovels? Let me help you out. We can knock. It may seem like a lot to you out there by yourself, but I'm using the street shoveling as an analogy, people, a metaphor. I may look outside and go, whew, that's a lot. But if you be like, I got my shovel too, we can do this together. Let me help you. It's not going to be perfect, but let me help you out. So I agree. The stewardship is, I love that word. And I always ask people to expand upon it because it's a beautiful way to say, take responsibility for you, for others. It's fantastic.
And that's real. And I'm glad you said that, because that leads directly into our number 4.
Hey, I know what I'm doing, yo.
Listen, brother, I never doubt you. Never, even when I got the brown, I never doubt you, brother. Okay, so thou shalt think about your everyday actions and how they impact your community.
Straight up. Straight up. We have to, just as I foreshadowed. This is my foreshadow show.
Talk about it.
I've been dropping lots of stuff, and you're like, we get into that. It's we can't make it alone. Make it alone, and we
say that again. Yes,
we need each other, and to lean on each other and to respect and to learn and grow. And I sometimes it gets hard to take criticism. That criticism is also very helpful if it's constructive and it's pushing me to be a better person. I ain't saying like tear me down, but I'm saying like build me up, help me become better, and also, find a way to make sure I felt comfortable and included in the way I need to be included. Reshape your institution for me. I was thinking about this morning, or maybe it was the other day, doing my little yoga practice, trying to mind and body.
Oh, don't hurt them, Dre. 2021 is yours, baby.
Trying to keep it together. And I remember, this comedian talked about this, so I can't claim it, but she talked about it, and it was really powerful to hear it at first. The notion and idea of how we come into these spaces and languages blowing up. Languages are different for us. This happened to me, but I heard this comedian. I wish I could claim it as a whatever, but I heard it. I grew up with a Southern family, and you hear all kinds of words, and we portmanteau. A good old girl from Zona Herson brought that to us, the creation of words to explain what we're talking about. And I remember the first time I heard namaste in a yoga class. Oh, that's nice. I'm gonna stay too. I'm gonna stay too. That's nice in here. I like this place. Everybody said they want to play. I know it's old, but I'm gonna stay too. So I'm saying that. There's times that we have got to get a little humor in there. It does tie into the notions and ideas of how we treat each other and
Mm.
how we experience each other. Because I know in my family, I've been in places and been like, that's not what they're talking about. But okay, let me help y'all through this, and make sure you feel comfortable. And I don't want my people to feel ostracized and excluded because they don't fit into the structures that were built to keep them out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I committed my whole life to interrupting that, So, and I take it very seriously. I get like hot under the skin when I see people excluded because they don't know how to play the game. And I'm not mad at the person. I'm mad at the institution that's pushing folks out or keeping them out, because sometimes it's like, you just know how to say this word better. You don't know, you don't know nothing more.
Mm-hmm.
Know how to say this word better. That's all it comes down to. And the system is built for the way you're communicating to be celebrated. No, I'm all about pushing that wall, pushing that over, because I don't believe in that limitation that we see people having and facing.
I'm with that. That's all beautiful and well said. And I agree with everything you said. Everything you said. And to add on to that, or just to repackage it, it reminds me of the work that I try to do in terms of when we were at GFS, you were part of it too. In terms of the boys group that we had, it was a boys group for a group for Black boys, young Black boys. I think it was 3rd grade, 4th grade, and we would have lunch meetings. And Brother Norman was the one who put it together, and it was really based off the Ubuntu philosophy, right? I am because we are because I am, and that really gets at the heart of this matter. So when we talk about thou shalt think about your everyday actions and how they impact your community, it's really about we as human beings impact one another. It's all about interconnectedness. It's all about what I do will have an impact on you. Maybe not directly, but it could be indirectly, or the things that I do might have an impact on my community, the world, etc. So how do we really make sure that we are articulating that, guess what? You might not see how you're impacting someone that you don't even know, but there are ways that can actually happen. So it really goes back to the whole notion of that we are interconnected and our struggles are interconnected. Our fight for liberation is interconnected. No matter what walk of life you come from, your lived experiences, your creed, your race, etc. So it's really back to that Ubuntu philosophy. I am because you are, we are because I am. And it should be, if I'm winning, you're winning. If I'm losing, you're losing. If I feel joyful, you feel joyful. If I'm hurt, you feel hurt. But that's the issue. A lot of times, folks, they might think they're the center of the universe. They might think that, they're the only ones who feel. They're the only ones who are entitled to joy and nice things. So it's really about, again, we talk about perspective taking, when you're thinking about a mentality shift and shifting your focus from a point where it's not just about I, or me. It's about us. How do we do that?
Yeah. And it's hard for some folks to do that. And I understand. I try and start from that space of forgiving right away, have to move forward. There's a book by Nietzsche, Human, All Too Human, of like the difficulty of our existence. And what does it mean to walk around just as human beings with all the crazy stuff? And I go into the nature versus nurture experience in that moment. And I do believe that we come from beautiful nature, but we have nurtured a very complicated existence. My philosophy. I'm getting inspired sitting there talking to Rev Dr Israel.
Can you say that again, brother? My goodness.
But Nietzsche's book, Human, All Too Human. I think it's Echo.
Okay.
Human, All Too Human. Let me get my Latin all mixed up. But the book is all about the experience of going through certain things that we do to each other as human beings. And it's asking the question, why? And his response, and Nietzschean's way of just emptiness and nothing and no faith, anything. It's like, we're just rotten individuals. We can help ourselves. I'm not of that thinking. I understand and respect and like to study and read what he's talking about. That's not how I look at the world. I do believe that when we come to nature versus nurture experience, that there is an intimate nature about who we are, but the nurturing that we've done have put us on a different platform and created ways for us to behave and be that have been detrimental to us. So it's like, how do we nurture ourselves to get back to our original nature? Is a possible potential journey. So I believe I just have faith in people. I may be crazy, even though they do me dirty and things happen. I really do have faith in our fellow brethren and sisterin.
And I feel you on that. And I think honestly, that's the best way to be, because if we don't have faith, everybody. Because my thing, I think that's the way to be, though. Because if we don't, then I mean, I'm not trying to be morbid, but what is this all for?
Yeah,
we have to have faith in that redemption story. We have to have faith that, even to quote Brian Stevenson, right? Thinking about, because he's calling for an era of truth and justice, right? But his whole work is that we should not be, one person should not be defined by their worst act. They should not. Now, that could be a part of their story. No one's saying just throw that out the window. That could be a part of their story, but it should be a part of their story, not the only story about that person.
Yes.
How do we look at that? And how do we challenge ourselves to think that way and look at things that way? Because again, I wouldn't want to be judged by my worst act. I wouldn't. And I don't think anyone would want to. So just really thinking about how can we extend, again, be forgiven in certain spaces, but like Tupac said, forgive, but don't forget, girl, keep your head up. Right? How do we do that? And then also, make sure that we're being charitable, but not being taken advantage of or being naive at the same time. There's a lot of tension there. There's a lot of tension. It's push and pull for sure. Right.
Yeah, and to bring it back to our community and zero in laser focus on Black people, we have a lot of pain to our existences and our ways of walking around. Sometimes we need to be hugged and loved too. We need some brown juice to ease our spirits.
Talk about it.
How can you give it to your fellow human? How can you find a way to be like, you know what, my sister, you just yelled at me in the market. There's probably something else going on. Let me help understand what happened here without being condescending or judgy. Just like, oh, the reason that's there is he over there is having a problem. That's why. And you saw her like calm down a little bit. Because I just believe in the L word, love. I think love is very real. Love is the message, like that. I take that very seriously.
Word. And you put bass in the mic. That's what I'm talking about. Because you're not playing games. You're not playing games, brother. You're not playing games.
I had to get my Josh voice. Okay.
Listen, and I think it brings us to the last one, number 5. It rounds us out perfectly. Brother, I'm about to be there too. I'm right with you. This long live, as long as now if you hit that at like the 5:15 mark, it would have been a problem. So the 5th one, right? The 5th one is, thou shalt choose your life partner, friends, associates, etc., wisely. Because some folks, they might thought they chose wisely, and then when the Rona hit, they found themselves in close quarters with nowhere to go.
I think of a song, first Bobby Womack, and then it was recreated by our brothers in Jodeci. You think you're lonely now. Wait until the Rona, baby. All the skeletons come out of your closet and you scared to touch them.
Oh goodness, yeah.
Yeah, this Rona has. I mean, I've been listening to the breakups and makeups. Exactly. Well, that was a new sound. That was a new sound. For a minute, I was like, "Yo, what?" The Browns affected me in some way. I never heard that come out of you. That was beautiful. I think just been hearing about the stories of people. My goodness. People having to take stock
I see you.
Everything. And that's no joke. And at the end of the day, the first person to take stock of and the first work to do is in here.
Mm-hmm.
And man, Mother Nature locked us in our rooms and told us to go think about who we are, like straight up for like almost a year. You know how serious that is?
You're right. You're right.
This is serious as a heart attack.
This is what timeout feels like.
Yeah, right. This is the time. Mother Nature put us all on timeout. All do you go to your room and think about what you've done for a couple of months, and and I'm ready to get past it. So with that said, I know, right? Got your little temptations on.
Listen, I think I'm falsetto to be true, but it's whatever. It's whatever.
Yeah, this is the one I've been thinking about and have to think about and work on. There's a lot of work. It's just hard. That doesn't mean you don't not do it. But it's challenging to be good, to respect yourself, respect others, and figure out how to go about and just move through. So this is one that's a challenge for me. You know, I saw that meme early on during the lockdown, the lock-in, Corona. Do not text your ex. I was like, straight up. Like, look at this meme. Look what this meme said. Like, oh wait, I just messed up. I shouldn't have done that. Dang. You know?
I hear you, bro. Listen, I hear you. Listen, you know, some folks was looking for that quarantine bait. You know what I mean? They got songs out here now and everything too. But I feel you, brother. It is difficult. It definitely is difficult because, again, the way the world works, sometimes it's about compromise. Sometimes it's about the options that you have or don't have. Sometimes it's about playing the hand you've been dealt. Sometimes it's about making lemonade out of lemons, but they ain't give you no sugar. So it's a difficult one for sure, you know. And you know, some of us, here's the realty. The realty is this: even if you do choose wisely, that doesn't mean that trials and tribulations will not come. So again, it goes back to what you said about what you're doing here. How do you start here? How do you make sure that you're squared away? That's your right when you put your own oxygen mask on first before you go somewhere else. So really think about that. And I think that's the other real tea, since we're spilling tea today, right? And sipping brown. There are some folks who probably for the first time in their life, or maybe in a long time, had to sit with themselves and either get to know themselves or challenge themselves or think about life and what it's meant. Like when I used to work in college counseling, that was always my thing when I talk to students. I'm like, listen, this is probably the first time in your life that someone's really asked you to think about your life, what is meant thus far, and what you want to happen with your life moving forward in the future. And there's no answer for you. You can't turn to the back of the book. Shout out to math class back in the day. You can't turn to the back of the book. Like, are the odds being assigned? Because it's only the odds back there. They assign all the odds. The even's not back there. But anyway, you couldn't turn to the back of the book and see whether or not, like, this is what you're supposed to be doing with your life. There's no stock answer for you. What do you want to do? And that's a difficult question to answer, particularly at that age. And even when you get older, when you've had so many life experiences and things that might have been setbacks or things that maybe told you that you should go a different way, whatever the case may be, it's difficult. So, you know, I just want to emphasize, I think, the word choice in there. That's it. Thou shalt choose, because you have a choice. You do have a choice. And maybe sometimes that choice is not to choose. Maybe it is, because that's what's going to bring you joy, or at least be a little bit more, you know, peace or happiness in your life. So I think thou shalt choose your life partner, friends, associates, etc. wisely. Wisely doesn't mean it has to be this, that, and the third way. It just simply means that you should be being a little bit more intentional about the things you do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. And to have patience with yourself. You know? This may sound wild, but I feel the need to witness and share it. I came out liking myself more post-Corona. Well, not post-Corona, during. Because you got to spend a lot of time with yourself, you know? And I hope people have the very similar experience. Because if you have the other, then get to work.
Yeah.
I don't think I was perfect, and I worked on myself. I think part of what I liked about myself was the ability to be introspective, to take those journeys and decide to work on me. I think that is part of what made the journey dynamic, powerful, and beautiful.
That's real. Thanks for sharing that, because somebody needs to hear that. Somebody needed to hear that. And thank you for sharing that. And I think, and knowing what I know about you, good brother, you expect greatness because you produce greatness, to be honest. And I think sometimes that comes with folks being very ambitious to the point where it's like, that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough. I could be doing more. I should have done more. Could do more. I already dropped 1,000 movies and films, but that 1,001, damn, it got away from me. So I'm glad, brother, that, because people love you, good brother. And like I said, you the GOAT before they even call you the GOAT, because, folks, they try to come around now and try to bring you your flowers, brother, which I appreciate. But remember, you was a GOAT, brother, before you turned 50. You was a GOAT.
Thank you. My big admiration is right back at you. I was thinking today, reflecting on the time we've had together and the commandments and the meals we've shared when we could, and all the joy. And my matching, it's real. When you said it, I was like, what are you talking about? Come on, man. Okay. Let me. What's good? So yay.
Feels like we sipping together, man.
I love it. That's community connection. Even though I'm gonna say your glass was a little bit bigger than mine, but
no. It's just see, your color is a little lighter. This is a little darker, so it's your mind's playing tricks with me.
Yeah, that went right back to like 4th grade. Why are yours bigger than mine? Why you get the big piece of
so much for matching?
Right, exactly. Beautiful. I gotta have a sip. All right, the commandments. I love it.
Yeah, so I'm interested to know if folks in the comments, they digging in the commandments, they got something else. Are you going to pledge to? No, sorry.
Exactly.
Just making sure that folks understand that's what we're trying to be on. We're trying to make sure that that's how things are as we move forward. But yeah, man, it's always good to be introspective. It's always good to be reflective. Remember the what, so what, now what? Being reflective, and it was good that we had an opportunity to revisit these. So unless you have anything else to say about it, brother, we could keep it moving to the next phase.
I think it's time to move to the next phase and allow for folks to jump in as they get time.
No doubt. I like that. So yeah, folks could jump in as they get time, but now it's for the inaugural Best Brown Awards. Now, you had asked me, good brother, a while back, why brown juice? And I was like, oh, well, that's a question. I didn't really have an answer, but I came up with something. I'm like, oh, I wasn't always like this. It was a process. Things happen. I said maybe it's in my blood. It was all those things happen, right? I was just trying to figure it out. But then, spending time in deep reflection. If I am to be honest, there are a lot of times when I feel like us as Black folk might be turned off from something because we see it as being super white, or we see it as being a white person's thing. And it's not just our fault in that regard, because sometimes it's marketed as such, or sometimes other things that have been marketed to our community through hip hop, etc., whether it's malt liquor, St. Ives, right? We think about all those for all these commercials. The way that marketing does, it affects consumers. Again, my background, undergraduate background, policy analysis and management, concentration, consumer policy. So I'm always thinking about things. And I wonder why sometimes, whether it's religion, whether it's just culture, whatever the case, we are boxed out from certain spaces. And by when I say boxed out from certain spaces, I'm not saying, we should all be able to drink brown juice. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we should be able to zoom out and understand that everything is a business in certain spaces. To that end, I just wanted to share with some of the folks where my mind is sometimes and what my vision is, because I've talked about this a little bit more about, I invest in certain things. So just want to share a few notes. So the global whiskey market, the global whiskey market, right? So an estimated $5.76 billion in 2018. It was estimated, the global whiskey market was estimated at $5.76 billion in 2018, and is expected to increase to an estimated $8.67 billion by 2026. Why does that matter? Well, shout out to the Black Bourbon Society, which is really holding the industry accountable, because they wrote a note. If you go to their website, and they're seeking membership and everything, if you go to their website, they wrote an open letter to the bourbon industry calling for them to actually make statements about Black Lives Matter, etc. They said, listen, your silence has been deafening. What are you doing? We are consumers. We actually have been doing this work. You'll follow Uncle Nearest. You'll learn about how he was an enslaved person who taught Jack Daniels how to distill whiskey, etc. Blah, blah. What are you doing, billion-dollar industry, for us, right? Think about that piece. And then we have, for example, alcohol, as we've seen, has been proven to be recession-proof. And in this case, talk about Postrunner Commandments, pandemic-proof. Alcohol is, right? Additionally, this is my editorial. Alcohol, like Rachel Dolezal, is transracial. It goes across all different races, backgrounds, ethnicities, creeds, genders, etc. And then lastly, while you don't have to be a consumer, you might not buy brown, you might not sip the brown, or maybe you buy brown for other people to sip. You can become an investor or an industry influencer. I say all this to say is that I'm watching folks on YouTube who are not of the culture making money off of this stuff. And in 2021, I'm like, how can we get a piece of the pie?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
You used the B word a couple of times.
Yes.
Billions.
Billion. Yes. Billion.
And not no cube to put in the salt in the soup.
No. Yes, exactly. Billion. And it's like, it's a lifestyle in a lot of different ways. But I'm telling you, you go to YouTube, you see all these channels, folks are getting paid hand over fist for being involved in it. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying that we're going, all of a sudden we're going to be making money in this. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if we talk about representation, if we talk about really making and paving a way and leaving a lasting legacy for folks, how do we get into certain spaces where we can be a part of that? Again, I'm about consumerism. Like, I understand the different things of whether you're just a consumer or you're an investor. Are you an influencer, or are people using you and your culture to make a buck?
Hey.
So that's what I'm talking about. So when I say certain things, like I said, I have stock in Brown-Forman. And therefore, even though I love Heaven Hill products, even though I still buy those Black-owned corporations, I'm trying to get my hands on some, but we can't because they're down in Kentucky. I still make sure that I now find the bourbons that I like that are in my portfolio that I actually have stock in. So I might not love it, but other people do. How do we get into spaces where we can actually reap the benefits of what's happening around? Because, brother, like you said to me, can you please tell the people what you always tell me about there are 3 different types of people?
There are those that make it happen. There are those that watch it happen. And there are those that go, what just happened?
Hot damn.
Pick one.
There we go.
Which one you going to be?
There we go. So what I'm saying, brother, as we get into our Best Brown Awards, and then later on into our plans for 2021, I got plans, you got plans, we got plans for this thing right here.
This feels like, you know how you go, your brother's like, yo, check it out. We can go see, your homeboy gonna give us a talk and see what happened. And you sitting there, you like, dang, I didn't know it was gonna be all this. I thought we was gonna sip some brown. You got your book out, taking notes, changing your life, ready to invest stock.
See, brother, this is a timeshare. This is one of those timeshare joints.
No timeshare.
I never forget. This is off topic slightly, But we were in Orlando, Florida. I think we went to Disney World for the first time. It was my mother and two of my sisters and me. And we went to the timeshare presentation because they guaranteed that if you sat through it, you would get this Goofy phone. And it was literally like Goofy in the form of a phone. It was one of them dial phones. We sat through that joint just to get the Goofy phone. I was mad because we left before we got the free breakfast. I was tight. But my mother got the Goofy phone.
My Goofy story. My sister Robin. We went there once. Little boy, I was six or so. First day, all up in it. We walking inside. Goofy comes out, being Goofy, steps on my sister's toe and nearly breaks it.
Oh,
the whole day was like kind of done. I don't remember what else happened. I remember being like, it wasn't. But that's my little. Every time I think of Goofy, I think of my sister screaming because he slammed on her toe.
First of all, that's flagrant.
I know.
Dare Goofy.
I know. I don't understand why we don't own some of that land right now.
Right? Talk about it.
Anyhow.
We're gonna have to look for that, brother.
Yeah, right.
2021, let's make it happen.
Yes.
All right, brother. So what we had to do for the Best Brown Awards, we had to come up, and again, this is the inaugural one. So if things change or you got suggestions, here we go. Watch this, Dre. Watch this. If you got suggestions, feel free to email us. Whoa. If you got suggestions, you can email us about how we move in 2021, but more about that later. Anyway, back to the Best Brown Awards, right?
Moving on up. Moving on.
You know.
All right now. Okay.
So Best Brown Award, we said that it has to be a bottle that we have consumed in the barbershop. So it can't be one that, Dre just got in France, off of the post-secondary market, that's like $5,000. It can't be that type of bottle. I know, brother. I know. The whole thing didn't work. France. Anywho.
I know what you mean.
It had to be a bottle.
How much proof is that Knob Creek?
Oh, it's only 100. See,
okay.
It works. that Christmas episode, though, that was.
Oh my gosh.
Oof.
It's beautiful.
Yes, but if folks haven't caught on yet, I like higher proof. I do.
And it likes you.
The proof is in the bourbon. So we had to make sure it had to be focused and featured in the shop. So we had to try it and toast with it. I have 3 selections. I don't know how many you got, Dre, but I got 3.
I decided to match your 3.
Okay.
Fair and balanced in this situation.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell the people what I have. I have one rye that was the best rye I had in 2020. I have one bourbon, which also happens to be a member of the Brown-Forman group, which is a part of my stock portfolio, which is a delicious bourbon, which is one of my best of 2020. And then I have a barrel-proof bourbon from my favorite distillery, Heaven Hill, which actually Whiskey Advocate agreed with me as it being the whiskey of the year for 2020. Notice how I said Whiskey Advocate agreed with me, and I didn't agree with Whiskey Advocate. I'm just saying. So.
Okay, Harlem. I'm just saying, I want you to know that major corporation agreed with me. I want all y'all to know that. That is one.
I'm just saying.
1-2-5.
Yeah. So I got 3, brother. So how you want to do this?
Let's 1-1. Shoot them back and forth. How about I go first? Because I don't have the almanac later like you do.
All right, good brother.
Let me share my screen and show you choice number 1.
Go right ahead, good brother.
In the 3-1. So, and I've noticed as I try to stick with the notion information of bourbon rye whiskey, that all of mine are like a rye whiskey, a bourbon whiskey, and then an Irish whiskey. So number 3, Whistle Pig, my rye whiskey, aged 10 years.
Now talk to me about that, brother, because I still have yet to have it. Now talk to me about that experience. Now I know we've talked about this off camera before at one point. You told me about the Whistle Pig, and other people swear by it too. But talk to me about the little piggy.
The little piggy?
The little piggy. No, not the piggy actually, but talk to me about Whistle Pig.
The thing is, it's hand bottled on the Whiskey Pig Farm in Vermont. I respect it for that. And it's a small company, small batches, and it just has a great taste. It's a delicious taste. It's fantastic. And all of my bottles, actually, now I think about, are connected to people. And my boy Rob and his mother-in-law were the first to introduce me to it. And it was being with them. And I was like, oh, okay, let me try this out. And, when you share whiskey with somebody, it means something. So I can go into the notes, and I can't do all the history and the stuff that you do in this particular situation. But I will say that I have a genuine affection and connection to it because it's delicious. It has a little bit of history and a connection to my world and my life. So Whistle Pig, the rye whiskey, aged 10 years, is my number 3. And let me say another thing about this. And this is true for all of my stuff. And it's real. And we are talking about moving forward and advancing ourselves. You know what? I'm glad I could afford it.
Talk about it.
That's not something I could do as a child.
Talk about it, brother.
That's what I could do as a child. Well, not that as a child I should be buying.
I hear you.
But you know what I mean.
You might have been sent to the store to get it, but
right. Or in 20s, even in my 30s, I couldn't do.
Absolutely,
I couldn't do that.
Absolutely.
So it's powerful to have this experience right now. So Whistle Pig is my number 3.
No, that's brilliant, and I'm glad you said that because, again, when we talk about this market, think about all the assumptions that folks might have who don't understand that there are people such as yourself and myself who have some type of discretionary income that can actually purchase something.
Yeah, it's real.
I mean that says a lot. And again, when you try to change the hearts and minds of folks, it can start with a bottle of Brown. It really can. So thinking about that. Okay. I appreciate that, brother. I see your rye and I raise your rye too. So now there's actually two out of the 3 from Heaven Hill, my favorite distillery. And and for the folks who don't know, my birthday's in January, and I decided that I was going to not have a bar anymore. Instead, I will have a bar and begin a collection. So I'm beginning a collection of curated, researched bourbon, whiskey, etc. So I've started that. And when I become a stay-at-home dad, and I got some money to work with. No. So anyway.
Oh, yeah.
The Pikesville Straight Rye. Now, I believe your homie, Auntie Jean, was the one who had talked about this too on our Instagram. And yes, when I had this, shout out to brother Dean, who gifted this with me over the summer. Brother Dean, thank you for that, because this is delicious. As you can see on the tag, tag life, brother. As you can see, it says Rye of the Year, number 2 World Whiskey of the Year. This was from Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible 2016. Good brother, San Francisco World Spirits Competition 2015 double gold. Don't know what that means, but it sounds good. And 110 proof. I told you I keep it at least 100. And straight rye whiskey. Delicious. If you see this, particularly if it's on sale, get it. You won't go disappointed. So I would say Pikesville Rye, delicious, 110 proof. And what they refer to it in the whiskey community, it's a barely legal rye, which means that it's 51% rye in the mash bill. So when they say something might be a barely legal bourbon, it has to be at least over 50% corn. When you talk about rye, it has to be at least over 50% rye in order for something to qualify as that. So the mash bill has 51% rye in it, which makes it a rye as opposed to a bourbon, but it's a barely legal rye. That's what they call it. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm with it. That's beautiful.
So that's mine. That's mine, brother.
My number 2, I think you saw this coming.
Oh, this, brother, I saw it from a mile away.
And it's the Hill Rock, which is a bourbon whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that color. Look at that color. I swear the color has changed over time.
First of all, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it is just beautiful. Look at that crown. Look at that crown.
You can't find that in PA, brother.
I've learned. Well, it's Hudson Valley.
Mm-hmm.
You got to drive a little bit. Handcrafted on the estate.
Yes, sir.
Hill Rock, 1806. I do have my moments. I can't lie, where I think like I don't want to know much more about a place that had a distillery work in 1806. When I hear about these things in Kentucky, even though Kentucky was known to have not really be so involved in slavery, but
chances you already know. Exactly. You already know. Chances are good, brother. Chances are good, brother. We already know what went down.
Exactly.
But here's the question, though: how do we change that narrative? Exactly. How do we get in? Because again, brother, you know what I noticed? Not that I'm doing research about certain things, but I'm doing research about certain things. There's a group, I think it was Beam Suntory, who does Jim Beam and Suntory to do like a lot of the Japanese whiskeys, etc. They just hired back in November their inaugural director of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh, stepping up. Why aren't you in that position?
See, brother, this is what I'm talking about.
That's like
this is what I'm talking about, brother.
Has your name all over.
This is what I'm talking about, brother.
Your name all over it. That might destroy the stay-at-home dad situation, but I think we could all understand that.
We can understand that. I understand that.
I choose this one because of the fantastic taste. I mean, the bottle is, I can't lie, the bottle is dope too. The fantastic taste, the bourbon whiskey. And once again, two friends that were like, yo, you need to get out of the city. And they got me out of the city in August and just like, let me sit somewhere else for a little while. And then as a parting gift, gave me this, which I think is just beautiful.
That's dope.
That's what friends are for, right? So, my Hill Rock. Also, that name Hill Rock.
Hill Rock is just talk about it.
Okay for this class. I'm down to do the class. I like the idea. I'm a good teacher, and
So brother, can we do something on camera real quick?
Please.
So to that point, you already have civil rights tours.
Yes, I knew right where you're going, man.
So I'm saying, what would that look like if we had an adult version where it's barbecue, brown, and civil rights all together, breaking bread, talking about the nation, making our own bottles when we go to the distilleries on the distillery tours?
See, but here's the thing, though. Before you go there, I always try and get local.
Okay.
There's always a local whiskey, a local bourbon. There's always local bourbon. And like, for instance, the Hill Rock, we can't get that in Philadelphia.
No, we can't.
This stuff I had down in certain areas. I've had stuff in Nashville and been like,
okay,
this is something different. Because remember, this stuff is the land where you are.
Yes.
So it's different. I always so my trips when I go to the South, my favorite thing is in Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi. We gotta get Josh live on here someday. Can we fit no one inside the screen? Let's fit another person.
Listen, you know what? I was told, and here's the beauty of this platform, brother. You can have up to 10 people at once, and if you wanted to, you could do it as a place where some folks are backstage. You know what I mean? And then I can just come back in. So we can do it backstage like that, brother. That's just how it is. So shout out to Josh again, brother, for putting the boy onto the platform.
Beautiful. But yeah, I say no more, because that's a yes, yo.
Listen,
total yes.
11-1 Enterprises is ready to come on and work with Government Cheese to make sure we can bring that together.
Brought to you by Many Things Management. All of it.
Talk about it. Let's go, brother.
All of it. Yes.
All about it. 2021.
Yes, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Let's go.
Let's hope the vaccines hit and the fever succeed so we can go do this.
Yes, sir.
My goodness.
Yes, sir.
Problem stunting. The truth. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is a part of the Brown-Forman collection, which is a part of the portfolio. This ish right here.
Oh yeah, forget it.
Is delicious. We shared some, brother.
Yeah.
Now, when you want to talk about bourbon that gives you a little bit. You got to drink it past the shoulders for a little bit, right? It gives you some chocolate. Ooh, and this is something that is readily available, gets overlooked sometimes. Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, which literally means that they take it out of its original barrel and then finish it in a second oak barrel. I don't know how long, but it's 90.4 proof. And it's delicious. You want to talk about having one? If you're building a bar and you want to just have a bourbon that's available that people, they just want to try, sip on, that they can sip on and you can share with, and it's not too crazy because it's not going to hit the budget like the bank, this is it. Woodford Reserve Double Oak. Make sure you pick about 10 bottles, 20 bottles or so, because I got stock in it.
Woodford Reserve is great. That's my stuff. I love Woodford Reserve.
Yes, sir.
That's what you get on the plane.
Yes.
When you sit up front and ask you want to drink.
Yes. That Double Oak, though, is no joke.
No.
My goodness, and it's overlooked because, again, it's not the fancy, but like people understand, they know the regular Distiller Select Woodford Reserve. But that Double Oak, Joe, let that bottle open up, lights out. It's great. It's delicious.
All right. Beautiful.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So we went some Whistle. We went some Hill Rock. We went some Pikesville. We went some Woodford Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
You already know. My baby. Look at that. Hey. It's going to be all right. You ain't going nowhere. Put it in the front seat and tell don't touch nothing. That's how much I'm feeling it. Sit down. Don't touch nothing. This stuff is so good. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
And once again, gifted to me by some people. Even got the distiller's name, distiller Brian Knowlton.
Oh, talk about it.
It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has a serial number.
What?
I ain't even look at that. It's a serial number.
You gonna give out the bottle Social Security number, brother?
I ain't never seen. Let me get to the camera.
Oh, okay now.
That before?
Okay now. Yeah, I mean, no, not on a fancy bottle like that, brother. Listen, I never had a transformer. You got a thing that come in a case that just pop, 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 and comes out. It's just, man, I see that, brother.
I'll be laying upstairs in bed. Be downstairs.
Be calling you.
I'm like, all right.
Be calling you, man. Be calling you. Okay. Okay. I see that now. Now, brother, I think that is a great number one for you. My number one is so popular that is currently out of stock.
Wow.
So much so that your boy couldn't get his hands on it for the reveal today.
Wow.
This is, now some folks might be familiar with Larceny. Some folks might be familiar with Larceny, and it's considered a wheated bourbon because instead of having malted barley, I think, in its mash bill, it has corn, rye, and wheat. So it has wheat as a third ingredient, if I'm not mistaken. It's called a wheater or a wheated bourbon. And that's Larceny. My number one for 2020 is the very first time you saw me go like this. That was for Larceny Barrel Proof. Now, if you can find some Larceny Barrel Proof bourbon, my goodness, you will not be disappointed. My favorite bourbon of all time, brother, you've shared it with me before, is the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Hands down. Best. I think it's the best value in the bourbon game right now. For me, it's because I think it's I want to say it's about $65 for about 130 something proof. And you can cut it with water if you want to, but 130 something proof for $65, aged 12 years, that joint is banoodles. So Larceny was even cheaper. It's $49.99 for a barrel proof, which is, I don't know how old it is, but is about 126, 123 proof. Delicious. Liquid gold, brother. Liquid gold. Although it's darker than gold, but liquid gold, brother. And that would be my number one in 2020, which Whiskey Advocate agreed with me.
Say it again. You said a lot of names. Say the name one last time for the people in the back.
Larceny Barrel Proof, distilled by Heaven Hill Distilleries, and it's delicious. If you find it, get yourself one and send me one.
Work it out, Harlem. Work it out. That's beautiful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's the inaugural Best of Brown Awards, man. That's inaugural right there. Now, like I said, there might be some folks who might be like, you know what, that was cool and all, but I wish you would have did X, Y, and Z. Okay, let us know. Let us know what we should have did.
We love information.
Yes. And again, like I said, you at the barbershop, you never know who's going to show up. So as we build this thing out, you got something to say, you got a message, something you want to share, you want to try to pop up in the barbershop, we can talk about it. So let's leave that up while we talk about plans for 2021, brother. And I wanted to share this with you because we've shared it with each other before, talking about it, just not with the people. But a few things that we've been talking about, discussing for our plan for 2021, because the shop is open. We're thinking about coming up with a barrel and book club. So we just shared some of our favorite bottles. At some point, we'll be sharing some of our favorite books. We'll talk about some of our favorite books and new books that come up. And post-Rona, we'll have opportunities to get together. Maybe it's in New York City. Maybe it's in Philadelphia. Maybe it's in Baltimore. Maybe it's somewhere. We get together.
Maybe it's Allwares.
Because guess what? Now we can be online too. So there's a lot of different places we can be. So we can get together and have a barrel and book club. And of course, we can flesh that out. But a barrel and book club is something that will be in the works for 2021. Additionally, we were talking about maybe having some Brown Juice Barbershop sponsored events. We just talked about possibly doing some type of tour, some history tour, which would be dope. But just thinking about maybe dinner and dialogue, because we always discuss the real. We always discuss the real in the barbershop. That's how the barbershop gets down. But dinner and dialogue, maybe some tastings, book and film discussions. Listen, I'll throw the after party for one of your films, brother. I'll throw it. I'll host it. I'll come out of MC retirement to host, brother. I will host for one of your after post party film productions, brother. I'm here for it and I'm there for it. Just let a brother know, and I'm there.
Right on. I'm ready with it.
And then, possibly, maybe we might have some Brown Juice Barbershop merch coming through. Who knows? You see how we got matching glasses right here, right? Maybe we might have a Brown Juice Barbershop joint, carved in, etched in. And if you know a Black-owned company who does that, you know what to do. Hit us up on the email. Follow us. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, etc. Connect with us. Connect. So it's really about network building. It's really about connecting with each other. It's really about celebrating one another. It's really about sharing with each other. And again, this is no fun if you sit down and drink by yourself. It might be tasty, but it doesn't really have an experience.
Yeah, this is meant to be shared.
This is meant to be shared. And if that's not your thing, that's fine too. Pour a glass of water. We drink bubbly, not champagne. I'm talking about bubbly.
Just be around.
Let's talk. Let's, as they say in the wild, let's parlay, let's parlay real quick.
Exactly.
So let's really have a conversation. So, we open to all that in 2021. Let us know what's going on. Let us know your thoughts, Can't wait. That's what, absolutely. You got anything good, brother? This is our longest live ever.
And I celebrated. I was thinking as you were talking of how this truly is one of the better things I've done the past couple of months. I almost said the past year because we're coming up. But it's been, this is one of those making a way out of no way moments. We could have chose to be stranded, trapped, sad, and unhappy. And instead, we decided to pull ourselves together and be present and share information, knowledge, grow, challenge ourselves, challenge each other, share information with the world. This is the secret. This is the secret. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. So I appreciate you, and have really enjoyed this conversation and looking forward to seeing where it goes and how we develop it even deeper.
Right back at you, brother, because like I said, I think I was talking to Josh, maybe on the Creative Guard, and I was talking to Amanda too, just as an introvert, And folks never believe it, but like the last thing I would ever think I would do in my life is start a YouTube channel.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, oh yeah, you know, but I love to build. I'm a dreamer. I'm a believer. I like to build things. I like to be creative, innovative solutions. I like to do research. I like to connect the dots. I like all of that. But to have a partner in doing that, to put the battery in my back and to come with your own wealth of knowledge, experience, and gifts and things that I don't have and things I can only aspire to have. I'm appreciative. I'm grateful and I'm thankful because, brother, like I said, I'm not even joking. You a big deal, bro. I'm not even joking. I just want you to know that you're a big deal, bro. So with that being said, I am appreciative and I'm thankful and I'm grateful that we share this platform together and we continue to build out because, you know, sipping that brown is great, but when I can sip it with you, good brother, it's a blessing.
That might be the unstructured yet correct toast.
Yes,
to
sir.
All of that, to being together, man.
Yes, sir. To being together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want that to waste that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good.
Mm-hmm. That's delicious. So, unless there's any final words or questions in the chat, I know sometimes things can get delayed depending on how it's streaming or whatever. So sometimes folks might be getting the stuff later on. But unless there's anything else, you know, we can get this one a cheers, you know, and keep it moving. You know,
I love it. I love it. Once again, fantastic and incredible and genius. You know,
it was dope.
Yeah, it was great. It's as usual and such. I mean, we got to revisit our commandments. We got to talk about our tops of the 2020 rather, and continue on into 21. We're already in it. We're doing. It's a new year and we're going. It's amazing.
Yes, sir.
It's amazing, and there's a great path ahead of us, which is ours to design. So that is beautiful.
I love that you said that. Again, I think folks need to understand that it's ours to design. We don't have to wait around for someone else to design it for us. It's ours to design. I love that. Yes, sir. All right, now. So that was the unofficial toast. So I mean, till next time.
Brown Juice Barbershop.
We in the house. It's 2021. Started in 2020, but we're gonna be around forever.
Make it happen.
Yes, sir. All right. So till next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay woke. Peace.
Brown Juice Barbershop.